There are a number of cars parked on the lawn of the residential lot, and also along Marbledale Road in the parking spaces. So we're trying to correct that issue and also enhance the streetscape along Marbledale Road.
Can you just, I know you showed the property line between Eastchester and Tuckahoe. Could you just maybe estimate how much of what we're talking about is in Tuckahoe versus Eastchester?
Right, so visually, if I can do this, this is the land within the village of Tuckahoe. Everything else is the town of Eastchester.
Okay. Thank you.
This is the proposed condition. As you can see, we put the property line here, approximately 53 feet from the face of the existing commercial building. And we're creating a parking lot that can accommodate 17 spaces with an additional 2 to 4 spaces within the warehouse that's on the Eastchester side. The variance that we're here for today is geared towards the parking spaces located within the front property line of the village of Tuckahoe. All right, so we would have 3 regular parking spaces, 1 handicap spot, and 1 access aisle located with what's considered a front yard, but the property isn't deep enough to actually have a legal front yard. So it's more of an imaginary line thing rather than a physical change. The curb cut is going to remain the same along the northern property line in the portion of Tuckahoe, which will extend into the town of Eastchester. We'll have a PVC fence. There's a detail here showing what that would look like. And then along the property line at the front, between the parking spaces and the sidewalk, will be an evergreen arborvitae hedge, screening that parking area from Marbledale Road.
And just for clarification, the purported front yard within which this parking variance is being requested is on the commercial property and not the residential property, correct?
That's correct. That's why we're also moving that line.
And this is to avoid parking spilling over onto green areas or other places that cars are not supposed to be.
Correct.
And do you need, it seems like a lot of this is in Eastchester. Do you need to request any sorts of variances from Eastchester?
Yes, we do. So there's 1 variance that is required here in Tuckahoe. In Eastchester, there are 9. And the reason for that is only because of the existing legal nonconforming structures. Right. So, for instance, Tuckahoe doesn't recognize the front of this building needing a variance because it's a legal nonconforming condition. And we're just changing the shape of that property as opposed to doing anything with the structure. Also, I just would like to add that the residential property currently does not have a driveway, curb cut. So those residents actually park on the street on Glen or maybe even on Marbledale. So what we're doing, and which is wholly within the Eastchester municipality, is creating a driveway and a curb cut, which could accommodate 2 cars as of right, and a turnaround so that cars can back out or back up and then proceed forward onto Glen and then turn either right or left onto Marbledale Road safely. So it's a betterment. It is relieving the detriment that this property currently has on the village.
One quick question. Thank you. The only entrance and egress to the parking lot is that one opening right there by the new parking spaces, right?
That's right. That's the existing curb cut.
Okay.
And have you given any thought to impacts on drainage?
So drainage, what we've done thus far, the civil engineer has done his test pits. He's had them also inspected by the town of Eastchester. But we will be discharging into the village's system. And I believe the engineering consultant is currently reviewing that and will come up with comments prior to the next planning board hearing, which I believe is next week.
Thank you.
Just to clarify as well, the impervious surface that's getting increased on this property now will have the appropriate drainage according to our code. So he'll be putting some dry wells in and actually making the system better than what we have today, because we have no dry wells at all on this system.
Right, and we're not only accommodating for the increase in impervious coverage on the commercial property, but we're also doing the same for the residential lot as well. So there's two separate drainage systems.
That does seem better.
So a lot less runoff into
The
the street.
residential lot is independent of the buildings that you,
They're independent in terms of tax. However, they're under common ownership,
okay.
yes.
I was wondering why you were putting a turnaround on that property.
Dan, any other board members have any questions?
You just talk a little bit about the use of the commercial property and why the 17 parking spots is the right size. for
Sure.
there.
So what I've done is, Tuckahoe doesn't have any regulations for the parking in this zone, other than, I believe, the planning board has, they opine on that, if I'm not mistaken. So what I did to come up with this parking layout is I conform to the Eastchester regulations, which is spelled out in the regulations. So I started with a conforming condition. We have a car auto body or service station up front, and then we have an HVAC piping company warehouse in the back with 3 offices on the second floor. So Eastchester has certain regulations for the quantity of parking. Now, in terms of Eastchester's review of that variance, or not, the way it is laid out, it doesn't require a variance, but there were questions, even from the Tuckahoe Planning Board, that we have 4 spots, 2 of which are in tandem inside the warehouse. So they were thinking that it may be appropriate to discount those. So that may require an additional variance from Eastchester.
If no one has any other questions, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. Do I have all those in favor?
Aye.
So now the public hearing is open. If anybody has any comments, please come forward and state your name and address.
Is that about this?
Yes, it's about this. Okay, seeing no one coming forward to comment, we will keep the public hearing open until this board meets. It will be in September, since we do not meet in August, so we will see you then. And I believe, because as you mentioned, you have a number of variances that you need to get from Eastchester. So actually, they'll come back in October, sorry.
Yeah, as soon as they're done with Eastchester.
Right. You have to go, which makes sense. You're going to go to Eastchester to deal with those variances, and if you're successful, we'll see you back here.
Right, we're expecting for the resolution in October. So and they're
Right.
open, I think a week right after Tuckahoe's, or no, I'm sorry, a week before Tuckahoe, so it just works out.
Okay. Well, good luck in Eastchester.
Thank you.
Thank
Thank you
you.
for your time.
Item 3 on the agenda, 167 Dante Avenue. Will the applicant please approach? Hi.
Hi, everyone. Thank you. Can I just put these?
If you could just state, thank you. If you could just state your name and your address for the record.
My name is Yana Bulva. I'm the homeowner at 167 Dante Avenue.
Thank you. You can put up whatever you'd like.
Well, let me just put these up. So thank you for allowing me to present the project. I'm glad there's so much neighborly interest about this project. I wanted to, where do I stand for the camera here? I wanted to just provide a little bit of context before we get started. As I told a few of you, and as many of my neighbors know, I bought this house in January of '24. I spent a lot of time, a year plus, renovating it inside, outside, everything. It's beautiful. It's much more beautiful than it was before. So aesthetically, it has improved significantly in terms of curb appeal, character of the neighborhood, the whole thing. And so whatever we talk about here in terms of adding a driveway, I say that to note that I have aesthetics and curb appeal and neighborhood character in mind, because certainly I don't want to negate or undo any of the work and money I've put into the house to date. So I do have that in mind, and that's top of mind. The first thing I want to do is just talk a little bit about the existing situation with my driveway and with my garage. So the driveway today, as it exists, and I do have a picture of my car in the driveway. I don't know if you can see that on a little bit. It's very small, and it's actually a hazard. The small, you can see from my car being parked in the driveway, it pretty much extends to the entire sidewalk, almost hits the street. It's a compact SUV. If I were to ever buy a larger car, it really wouldn't fit into the driveway. The other thing is that this winter, when the car was parked in the driveway, the parking brake was on. Because it's a very reverse slope driveway to the garage. Icy rain, it slid right into the garage door, which you can kind of see here and here. And so it caused a little bit of damage, not a ton of damage because the driveway is so small, there wasn't a ton of space for it to slide, but it did slide. More importantly, there was someone stuck in the garage. It was the winter. One of the contractors was stuck for a while until someone else could get there. And more importantly than that, if anyone was standing in front of the car in that moment, they would have been crushed. So it's just an untenable situation. When all of this happened, I went to the Village of Tuckahoe Parking Authority, and I asked them for a street parking permit, which is an exception for me because it's typically not given to someone in a household with one car and one driveway. But the Village of Tuckahoe Parking Authority agreed that the driveway was unusable and gave me the exception of the street parking permit. So I've been using that to take up a street parking spot since then, because I don't no longer really park in the driveway. So that's the situation with the driveway. The other piece is the garage. The garage itself is also quite small, just like the driveway. Neither the driveway nor the garage was really built for today's vehicles and today's lifestyles. And so I can squeeze my compact SUV into the garage. It's a little bit of a squeeze. I can't open the trunk in the garage. I have to pull it out to do that. So it's a little bit challenging. The other thing with the current garage is that, and the driveway, because it is sloped, I do worry about flooding. I haven't lived in this house even a full year. Weather patterns are changing. I haven't seen extreme weather yet, but I do worry that it's going to cause flooding over time. And I'm probably going to have to, at some point down the road, fully regrade the driveway, decommission the garage, and just create a flat surface. At that point, it won't be used as a driveway because it's going to be way too short. And so I'll have to probably landscape the space. But that's something for the future, but it is something I'm thinking about in terms of planning. So that's another point to keep in mind. In terms of the new driveway, these are the plans for the new driveway. A few things to keep in mind. So it is in the front of the yard. It's my yard is 50 feet wide. This driveway is a one-car driveway. It's 12 feet wide. That's 1/4 of the front yard space. So it's a really tiny portion of the existing front yard. Everything besides the driveway in the front yard is going to stay exactly the same landscaping, the same hedges, the same everything. Once I build the driveway, I'm also going to put landscaping and hedges around the driveway on each side to give it the curb appeal and the aesthetics that it deserves and to fit the character of the neighborhood. So that's an important point. And I do have kind of a visual here, if you can see it, of like the amount of space the driveway would take up in front of the house, which is really small relative to the entire width of that front yard. Let's see. The other thing is, as I was planning for this and kind of trying to figure out where to put the driveway, we looked at extending the existing driveway to the right or to the left. Both options are not possible given the layout of the property. To the right, there's a hill. It would be a lot of excavation. Plus, I have condenser units there, and I actually think it would be much worse curb appeal than what I'm trying to propose. That's to the right of the existing driveway. To the left of the existing driveway would be way too close to the corner, which I also don't think is possible. So given the property and the layout, we felt like this was the best place to put the driveway, which would ultimately be the only driveway I have for one car. Also in planning for this, I started doing a lot of walks around the town of Tuckahoe, and I found, just in my observations, 11 different properties that have very similar front yard driveways to what I'm trying to propose. Layouts are a little different, every situation's a little bit different, but it's essentially a front yard driveway that doesn't abut a garage like a lot of the driveways do, is not like a long driveway on the side that goes to the back of the house. It's really a front yard driveway for one car, like what I'm trying to propose. And more specifically, there's 3 properties, 358 Marbledale, 255 and 259 Dante, that are really quite similar to what I'm trying to propose. And so just as one example, this is 358 Marbledale. This is the front of the house. This is their driveway. This is the walkway. These are nice hedges in the middle. Very similar to my layout. My layout would just be switch, like walkway would be on this side, driveway would be on this side, and the driveway would actually have hedges on both sides, so it'd actually be even more aesthetically pleasing. Very similarly, 255 and 259 Dante, very similar setups, driveways, hedges around the driveways. I think with that, I will hand it over to questions.
I have
Please.
a couple, but.
Please.
Questions, go ahead.
So just in terms of, and you mentioned that you had decided or determined that it wasn't possible to move the driveway left or right from its current location. I'm just curious if you can expand on that. Is it not practical from an engineering standpoint? Did the building department opine on it, or was that the decision of you aesthetically or your architect? If you can just.
It's my architect and architecturally and me aesthetically. So from an architectural perspective to the left, and we didn't go to the building department with this because we needed a variance. Yeah, however we did it, we needed a variance. But to the left of the driveway, it would just be super close to the corner. And my understanding is that it would create a more dangerous situation that way and is probably not the best option for a driveway. So we went around the corner to the front. To the right of the driveway, essentially the way it is this driveway slope down, to the right of the driveway slopes up. So that's much more of a situation that is going to have significant excavation issues. They has condenser units in that spot now, 3 of them. So we need to figure out a way to keep them elevated. And so it just became way too complicated. And aesthetically, I think it's going to look really bad with the condenser units there and a driveway trying to extend it. And don't forget, because one is sloped down, the other one is not going to slope down. It's going to be either flat or slope up. It's going to be uneven, and it's going to look even worse.
Thank you.
Please?
Hi, I have several questions.
Yep.
First, you said that the driveway is 12 feet wide, right? Mm-hmm. How deep is the new driveway supposed to be?
It's 18. it's 18 inch, it's actually, because the front yard is a little bit askew, it's 18 inches, feet rather, on one side and 21 on the other,
So
and
how
12
many-
wide.
And how many cars can you fit in that driveway?
Just one car.
Just one.
It's just a one-car driveway.
Okay, so now you did say that's going to be your only driveway.
Correct.
And you're going to do something else with the other.
Probably down the road. I need to see how the weather is, how the flooding is. It's really more kind of future proofing for me, thinking about likely having to decommission the existing garage and the existing driveway. But that's not the reason I want this driveway. The reason is the existing driveway is not usable, even in its current state.
Okay, so how many bedrooms is your house? How big is this house?
The house has 4 bedrooms.
And how many occupants are in the house right now?
Right now, it's 1 occupant, but in the next year, this is another point worth mentioning, in the next year or 2, my elderly parents are going to move in with me, probably. So there will be 3 occupants plus a dog. And I will have siblings coming in and helping me take care of my parents as well. So the occupancy of the house will expand.
So do you think you're going to need space for more than one car?
I don't think I'm going to need space for more than 1 car for a while because my parents won't be driving. Also, I mean, honestly, for them, it would be great to have the driveway as designed, which is flat and right next to the front door. So it would just be great for their own mobility as they move in. I don't believe I'm going to need space for more than 1 car for quite a while.
So what do you do with your car if your parents park in the driveway?
They're not going to have a car. They don't drive.
And what about visitors, street?
Street. Like anyone else on the street. And so, worth noting is like what I'm proposing pretty much matches most other driveways on Dante, where they're just coming out right onto Dante Avenue.
Okay, so
Is mobility going to be like a legitimate concern for one of the future residents of the house getting in and out, where the driveway makes getting in and out plausible? Just
I mean, yeah, like having a driveway that's flat and right next to the front door is massive for mobility, right? Where the current driveway is, it's sloped, it's around the corner. So either you have to go in through the basement up the stairs, which is not great for mobility, or you have to come around the corner. So this would also be great for that, for my parents and any future occupant, of course, if I sell the house.
Of the 11 other addresses that you say have similar situations, how many have 2 concrete sort of pads or driveway-like spaces? Because just, I mean, as we mentioned in our,
Yep.
we mentioned to you, the board is very concerned about green space and taking
Yep.
that up and how that does change the character of the neighborhood.
Yep.
We understand wanting to be able to use your house in a very feasible way, but it's also about the future of our block, the future of the neighborhood, the
Yep.
future of the village.
Yes, the future of the neighborhood, the future of the block, and the future of the village are all very important to me. This is my home. This is where I work too. Yonkers, but close enough. And so at least one of the properties has 2 separate driveways in it. 235 Dante does. There's many properties, including in my near vicinity, that have 2-car driveways, so just a very wide driveway, which takes up about the same amount of space. The difference is it's connected. But even if I were to extend my existing driveway, which, as we talked about, is difficult to do, it wouldn't be connected because of the slopes. So it would still have like a wall in between, and it just aesthetically would be much worse.
Would there be any issue backing out of the new driveway into the other road?
No, because that's how most driveways on Dante Avenue operate. Like they come out right onto Dante Avenue. I'm right across the street from another driveway. There's driveways all along the avenue. So it's pretty natural, actually, the way it's designed.
Has there been any inquiry to Public Works around the impact of having a curb cut that close to the corner in light of your existing driveway? I think they may ultimately need to be consulted. If this plan were to go through, I would just be curious, like having two driveways at that type of intersection.
Oh, this plan and its proximity to the driveway, the one what I'm proposing?
Where your new curb cut would be and where your existing curb cut would be.
Oh, I see what you're saying. I mean, we haven't talked to,
Yeah, because, and just for the audience's benefit, this unit's a corner lot.
Yeah.
So the two driveways would come out in quite close proximity.
they're actually not super close, right? Like you have about 20 feet of space to one corner, you have about 17 feet of space to the other corner. So they're not that close, and you can't even like see them from one to the other. I mean, there's hedges in the way, but even if they weren't there, I don't think you'd be able to see it. So I'm happy to go to Public Works and have that conversation, but I actually don't think they're that close.
Anyone have any other questions on the board? If there are no other questions, I'll make a motion to open the public hearing. All those in favor?
Aye.
Hi.
If anyone from the public would like to comment, please just let the applicant sit down, and then please come forward and state your name and address for the record. Thank you.
Thanks. Good evening. My name is Vito Catania. I live on Dante Avenue, number 203. Over the last 3 days, several people on Dante have become aware of this project. And when we heard about it, we didn't like the aesthetic appeal of the way it's designed. We think it's going to take away from the neighborhood. So I'll just read you the petition that 37 people signed, and from 23 houses on Dante. For the most part, that's all the houses, the people that we knocked on the doors and were home. Okay, so there were some houses we didn't get. But the petition states, "We, the undersigned residents of Parkview Heights, hereby request the Tuckahoe Zoning Board deny the request for the variance for the property located at 167 Dante, which would allow for the replacement of the front lawn area of the house at that address with a private parking space or driveway. The requested change would eliminate one or more existing public parking spaces, because you need a street curb cut, set a bad precedent for similar variances to be issued along the street or further in the village, be unsightly and not fit the character of the street, and hence potentially reduce nearby property values." First, Dante Avenue is a really tight neighborhood. Welcome. I want to say we've never met. I have nothing against you, okay? But it's a very tight neighborhood. People look out for each other. Many people on the street have invested, hundreds of thousands of dollars expanding their properties as you did, and you did a very nice job. It looks really great. But now this is me personally speaking. My question is, why wasn't this submitted when the original plans to modify the property were submitted? The driveway existed when they built onto the back of the property. They knew the existing garage structure and the driveway that was there. Why wasn't this addressed then? Why is this trying to be done now? And for the most part, most people have a problem with, and the applicant showed pictures of houses that have other driveways on them, and in each of those cases, those people don't have garages, and the driveways are offset on the property. This proposal is smack dab in the middle of the property. It's going to put a curb cut on the street and take away a parking space. So you're taking away a public space and making it a private space. That in and of itself is not right. If the driveway that you currently have right now is really not usable, maybe there's a way to go to the highway department and have them put a curb there, create another parking space where that driveway is. So the neighborhood would have one more parking space, a usable space. And I'm glad that they gave you the sticker, even though you only have one car, and every one of us has had that fight with the village. But it's a reality. Our neighborhood is very close to the station. People like to park there. But the village is very amenable to giving people parking permits that are true residents. And my last concern is, and this is me again, not the petition, and we'll hand you the petition, But the house just seems unnatural to convert to a two-family house at this point. And it's large, it's got a huge electrical service going in, and by giving it a private parking space in the front, the village will lose control of who's parking there, okay? Where right now, you have a sticker, the car's got to be registered to the house by the person who's the owner of the house. They don't give stickers for other residents that might want to park there to drive to work and everything. So I think in that respect, creating a private space versus a public space is a detriment to the neighborhood, and I'm done. Thank you.
Thank you. Just for you don't need to respond, but right now, but let's just take some comments. But just for the record, you could give it right there. Thank you. This is a variance for the front yard parking. This is not a two-family house. This has nothing to do with that or giving any authority to do that. That's a zoning issue.
I recognize that.
So
I just raised
wanted to
that
make
as
sure that was.
as a question because by giving up the oversight of who's parking in this space, okay, you're just making it a lot easier for someone else
I
who
understand.
doesn't have a car registered at that house to park at that house.
Understood.
So that was my
Understood.
point.
Understood. Thank you.
Thank you.
Is anybody else any comments?
Hi, my name is Frank Petrosowitz, and I live at 194 Dante Avenue.
Frank, sorry, I don't mean to interrupt. I meant to say this before it came up, but if we could just direct everything, comments to the board and not to the applicant, because we're not going to.
Yes, I'm not.
And
I'm
I didn't say
talking
you were
to
going to, I just meant
I'm
to,
talking
as a
to you.
reminder to the room. Thank
Yeah,
you.
I'm
Okay.
talking to you.
Thank you.
Just a few comments. One, she stated that, I have to do this this way. The town has done that when a garage is not usable, they've issued a permit for the street. So she is not any worse off than if she had a garage and put it on the front lawn. Secondly, we got 24 homeowners who basically all had the same opinion and all agreed. They don't want their front lawns to be parking lots. They like trees, they like hedges, they like grass, they like flowers in their front lawn. They don't want cars if they don't have to have cars. And that was a universal opinion. Lastly, the houses to the right and left of the aforementioned house have garages. They have them in the back of the house, where now we have a new addition. All three of the properties are the same. They're the same. Same depth, same height. There's no difference in constructing a garage, I don't think. And the other two houses to the right and left of this house are in the back of the house. And now, because of the addition, perhaps you can I don't think you can put a garage back there, but it should have been considered in the original plans when submitted, I would think. And lastly, 18 feet from the wall of the house outward. I measured not a very big car the other day. It was 16 feet. So unless you're putting the car right on the wall of the house, you're going to be a little bit on the sidewalk. So that's about all the points I have to make. 18 feet is not a heck of a lot of space. Thank you.
Thank you. Are there anyone else that would like to come up to comment?
My name is Deborah Pello. I live at 181 Dante. And I want to repeat some of the points that were made because I think the major concern is we are worried that if this goes through and a front lawn is converted to a driveway, that other people on the block will do the same thing. There are some houses on our block, we have 4 cars, and we're all scrambling. So why not say, hey, let's solve this, let's take, feed off our green space, and this driveway goes right up to the front of the house, I believe, unless I looked at the plan and misunderstood it. But the driveway essentially goes right up to the front windows of the house. And a point that I mentioned to Yana, the previous owners had their car in the garage all the time. They parked their car in the garage. Now, was that a big difference in size between her car and their car? That I don't know. But the major objection is just wiping out the front lawn, or a significant portion of it, to put a parking space, a driveway there. I think if I read our neighbors' feelings. Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you. One point just to clarify for everybody, this board is held to a 5-prong test. That test is on a case-by-case basis. What we decide based on the case in front of us bears no precedent for any other similarly situated cases that may come up on the same grounds. So just want to highlight that because we will not establish precedent with the decision that's made here.
I could just respond to that, even taking away the precedent, to look at the house and have a driveway coming up in an area that was previously a front lawn and just a block of cement. I know it will be landscaped, and I'm sure it will be beautiful because that's the way she does things, but I don't think that's a nice look, and I don't think that adds anything to the block or the surrounding homes. Thank you.
Thank you.
Elizabeth O'Loughlin, 194 Dante Avenue. I've lived on Dante Avenue for over 40 years. Over the 40 years, parking has become very difficult, even when we have our stickers. There are homes that have multiple family dwellings down on Wallace, and what's been happening is family members have more than one car, and those cars are moving down further and further so that we cannot even park in front of our own home when we have packages, when we have to carry up other things. And so I understand that precedent is not something that is important right now, but I will tell you that over the years, I myself am having a very difficult time with the amount of cars that are on Dante Avenue, even with our stickers. So I would like you to take that into consideration. That particular area will not take up one spot. It will take up at least 2. Thank you.
Thank you. If there are no other comments from the public, we will keep the public hearing open until we meet again in September. Did you want to say something? Okay. Okay, sure.
So I just want to respond to some of the comments that have been made. One was something around oversight of who's parking in the parking spot. I'm honestly, I don't totally understand that. It's a driveway that would be part of my house like any other person's driveway. Only I would park there or my family members. So I'm not sure what that means. The street permit, the last lady, I'm sorry, I forgot your name, that just came up, just talked about the difficulty in parking. That is exactly why my street permit is insufficient for me long-term. It is difficult to park, and so the street permit is not always reliable. And so having a reliable parking spot on the property is exactly what, I'm looking for to solve that parking problem. It would not take up 2 spots, it would take up 1 spot. It is essentially the width of the parking spot is the length of my current car. When my current car stops parking on the street, it empties a street space. that allows space for my driveway. So the driveway would essentially be an exchange for the existing spot that I take up every day with my car on the street. It's exactly the same width as the length of my car. So that's not going to be an issue. The other real important point to keep in mind is that my existing driveway does not take up a parking spot. It comes out onto Parkview Place, onto the side of Parkview Place that does not allow parking anyway. So my entire house at the moment takes up no street parking space. And so this would be the one street parking space that it would take up. And again, it wouldn't really take that space because I would exchange my parking permit for that space on my property. So that's an important point. Why was this not submitted originally? The entire development that I did previously to renovate my house did not require any variances. It was all within the guidelines of the zoning board. This is just a more challenging request, and so this was considered from the beginning, but also I needed to see how much funds I had left to be able to do this, and this is why we're here now versus earlier. As far as aesthetics, I mean, look, it's subjective, but like I said, I have no interest in diminishing the aesthetics of the home I've created. I have no interest in diminishing the aesthetics of the neighborhood. And anything I do in terms of that one-car spot that is going to be very similar to other spots in the neighborhood and very similar to other spots on Dante Avenue. I think that covers it. Thank you.
Thank you.
Just like one question. It sounds like, in the question of whether this was considered when you did your initial renovation, it sounded like there was reference to some kind of extension of the house.
Sure.
Would you be able to just describe, if, to the extent there is extensions, what is new since you bought it, and then you could submit to the board if you have architectural plans that show what the house looks like when you bought it? That might be helpful.
Sure, of course. You can kind of see it here. There's like the existing house here, which is kind of the wider square area, and the extension that was added, which is kind of the rectangular area that extends a little bit into the backyard. But yes, I have architectural drawings for all of that.
Okay, so maybe if that could be submitted to the board, that would be helpful.
Yep. Yeah, I mean, and the other thing to just, again, as a reminder to keep in mind is that that entire extension area was built on top of an area that is much higher elevation than where the existing driveway is. So any extensions of the existing driveway and things like that, it just wouldn't be an extension of the driveway. It would just be a second driveway right next to it because the slopes would be so different.
Could you actually put a driveway behind the house? Is there a way to do that?
There's really no room to do that. I don't know how you would do that, honestly. There's no room to do that.
Is there, sorry, when you say there's no room to do that, there's no room to do that because the extension accessory building and the retaining wall that was put up? Is that the blockage?
Correct. So the beautiful, aesthetically pleasing curb appeal that I've created for the house and for the community would not allow a driveway to be put there. As well, because it's such on a high elevation, there would be a fair amount of excavation that would need to be done. And quite honestly, I'm not even sure it would fit into the space. It would abut directly up to the deck. And so I don't think that's going to be feasible.
Thank you. That's fine.
Just one or two comments. Our petition over there, that we circulated, we approached, I think, 25 houses. 24 did not think thought the aesthetics was greatly diminished. They liked, again, I'm repeating myself, they liked their front lawns, they liked the trees on the street, they liked their hedges, and they don't think that this is, they think it's more city-like, more Bronx, Queens, or whatever. They did not like, and they weren't very hard to convince, that this was not aesthetically pleasing. Secondly, the permit that she has from the town on the street is not much different than putting a car in the front yards in terms of her ability to use the car. And lastly, what I said before, 18 feet is not a heck of a lot of room. As I said, most cars are 14, 15, whatever feet. And, you know, you're on the sidewalk at that point. Thank you.
Thank you. Sure, there's someone else is approaching. Yeah.
Elizabeth O'Loughlin again. Just one more thing. I do know that often people have requested to expand their driveway to fit 2 cars, and that has in the past been denied. They were allowed to extend their driveway in the width by 2 feet on either side so that they could open up their car doors, because historically, these very old driveways do not allow you to do that. However, that should have maybe been taken into account earlier on, and maybe without the retaining wall, extended it to some degree and maybe flattened it out a little bit. I don't know architecturally, but I think it would have been something that could have been done.
Thank you. Sure. Wait, don't, sorry, there's someone else again.
As I'm the person who used the word oversight, I want to clarify what I meant by that. The village controls the parking stickers in our neighborhood. Anyone can park there, but we have 2-hour parking because we're so close to the station, okay? For me to get a sticker for my car, I have a driveway and a garage. I have to have 2 cars to get 1 sticker. The village, every year, makes a copy of my registrations. They have oversight over those registrations to verify that those cars are registered in my name to my home, okay? So, if I have 3 cars, I could get 2 stickers because I could put 1 in a driveway. If I have 4 cars, I could get 3 stickers. That's the way the village manages the parking on the streets that are close to the station. My point was, when you take a public space off the street that someone needs a sticker to park in, and you replace it with a private space on where there used to be a lawn, now anyone can park in that space. A cousin, a brother-in-law, somebody from out of town could stay there and park there for a week and create a need for another parking space on the street. So you've taken away a public space that the village controls and replaced it with a private space. Personally, I don't think that's the right thing to do. Thank you.
Understood. And, you know, again, just to, you know, this board is just concerned with, as Lauren mentioned, Ms. Peretta mentioned, the 5-prong test, and that's what we will be analyzing here. But of course, we are listening to all of your comments. I believe the applicant had one last thing to say. So.
Just to address the last few things. First of all, why would some random person park in my own private driveway? I don't understand. It would be someone obviously who is in my house, who's a family member. So that's one point. The other point about the lawn, very important. I'm not talking about replacing the entire front lawn. I'm talking about replacing a quarter of the front lawn with a driveway. The rest of the 3/4 would have greenery, landscaping, hedging, pretty much exactly as it does today. And the driveway itself would have hedging and greenery right around the driveway. And so from an aesthetics perspective, it would look probably even better than it does today, quite honestly. So that's important. The 18 feet point, 18 feet is sufficient for a driveway. However, there actually is an extra 4 feet before you get to the rest of the street. The 18 feet included just where you get to before you get to the existing hedges. Obviously, those would be removed. So it's actually not 18 feet, it's actually 22 feet that we're talking about on one side of the driveway, and the other side of the driveway, which would be 21 feet, add on 4, it's actually about 25 feet. So it's more than enough to accommodate 1 car and create hedging and greenery right around it, and keep 3/4 of the lawn as green and beautiful as it is today, which would be very much in line with other properties on Dante.
Would you consider replacing the concrete existent driveway and that impermeable surface with greenery if it had potential impact or bearing on your request? It wouldn't detract from as much green space if you one for one just flipped concrete for green. That's why I ask.
I would have to talk to my architect and consider it. But again, the space that I would be taking up is less space than many of the driveways that accommodate more than one car to currently take up today.
Understood. I'm just positioning that
Yeah.
as a consideration,
Yeah.
given the concerns that were raised around green space.
Yep. Yep. The house with the new driveway will have more green space than a lot of the houses nearby, in the front and in the back.
Did you say you could fit 2 cars in the driveway? Did I just hear that or no?
No, 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 no,
Okay,
no, no,
just 1 car.
just one.
Okay, thank you. So as I previously stated, the public hearing is open. We are not meeting in August, so we will be back here in September. I can state for myself, I'm familiar with this area, but after hearing everyone's comments, I will definitely go by and take another look, and I encourage my other board members to do the same between now and September. That, do I have a motion to close the meeting? No, sorry, second, all right. All those in favor?
Aye.
Thank you, Tuckahoe, and have a good night.